Rolling now.
All right, we're good to go.
Hi, Sandy. Could you tell us your whole name and your role here?
My name is Sandy Waite, and I am a caregiver for my mother and an assistant caregiver for my mother-in-law. I do all the cooking and the shopping. Sue does more of the cleanup.
And who is Sue?
She's my wife.
Uh-huh. And can you tell me what your situation is, how you became a caregiver?
Let me see how I can say this without... My mom had a stroke. Well, actually, no, hold on. Okay, my mom had a stroke a couple of years ago, and she was staying at her condo after the stroke, and she seemed to be doing pretty well. I stopped in after work every day to check on her, and after a month or so, it seemed that there were dangerous things I was discovering and peculiar things, and when I asked her about them, she didn't know. You know, I'd come in, there'd be broken glass on the kitchen floor and spaghetti sauce all over the place, things like that. Stuff burned onto the stove. Excuse me. I came in one day and a burner was on and a towel was right next to it. So I realized that coming every day after work for just a short period wasn't enough. So I left my job. I worked for my brother. He owns a company that my father started. And so I left my job to take care of my mom. The problem was that she was keeping me up 20 hours a day. And so I was, getting less and less sleep and ignoring my household. I was just pretty much living over there. And I'm someone that pretty much requires 8 hours a night sleep. So pretty soon I felt like I was going to be psychotic. So I told my brother that Mom needs to move in with me, and he refused. And so we hired a staff of caregivers so that I would only have to be there 8 hours a day. And that was horrible. She ended up with a fractures of one of her ankles, and she wasn't eating, she wasn't drinking. The whole thing was terrible and very expensive. So finally, and she was kind of out of her mind at that point. So my brother finally consented to letting her move in here. She thought that he was the decision maker of the family, and she wouldn't do anything without his blessing. So finally, we had his blessing and moved her in here. And then Sue's mom, Margie, she was at an ALF, and they were not caring for her properly. So we thought, well, let's just bring her here too. So she left her job, same company, and we became full-time caregivers.
Who taught you how to be a caregiver?
Nobody. I'm a mom. So, when you're taking care of your parent, it's kind of like taking care of your children.
It is, isn't it?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Except they're larger.
Mm-hmm. What do you find are the challenges to you?
The challenges for me are lack of a social life. I'm a very social person, and I'm used to my time being more in my control. Sometimes it's very trying, because my mom, one day she'll be communicative and have a little memory, and we'll talk about things, and she's funny and witty, and I so enjoy her. And then the next day, the people on the TV are coming over and they're going to shoot us, and strange, bizarre things that she imagines. And I never know when I walk in her door what I'm going to find, which person. So that's it's troubling, it's trying, it can be exhausting.
What are the joys?
Excuse me just one second. Are you picking up, Amy, are you picking up the shutter? Are you hearing that? Could we hold off on the still shots because we're hearing, thank you. Go ahead.
What are the joys? Can you repeat?
What are the joys? I'm sorry.
It's okay for that.
Joys. I guess the pleasurable moments, and I wouldn't necessarily call them joys. The good moments are when my son and his wife bring over our brand new baby / grandbaby, great grandbaby. It's the first one, and my mom lights up. She just lights up. She'll sit and hold that baby and pet him and coo at him, and it's so heartwarming. I think that's why she's stayed alive, is because of that baby. He was born in November, and just looking forward to that baby has given her new life. So on the good days when she's witty and funny and we can talk like normal adults, it's very special. My mom and I have always been close. We've always talked about everything. And so it's very sad when she's not my mom. She's just this crazy old lady.
This is a good relationship that you have Sue here and you're both doing this together. What is that like to have that mutual support? Repeat my question.
Yes. I can't imagine doing this on my own. Having my wife as my partner in this crazy life of caregiving is a must, because sometimes she's just on the edge, she's at her wit's end, and I just let her go. Just go somewhere, get in the car, go to the park. And even if she's only gone for 30 minutes, out in the sunshine and the air, Heritage Village is very close to here. It's 5 minutes. So you can go there, walk through the gardens, look at the alligators, whatever. And then it gives you a little bit of energy and renewal, just a short time away. And she does that for me. If I'm going crazy and I need a break, I go get on a horse. And it takes me more than an hour, but it's a necessity. You have to be able to have someone you can count on to step in when you really need to get out. Mm-hmm. I don't know how people that do it alone, I don't know how they survive it.
Mm-hmm. And I have another question, but okay. Do you think about the future, like plans after? Because many times it's hard. I mean, when you've been out of life.
I'm sure it's going to be hard to rejoin civilization. I have resigned myself to the fact that my mom is not going to be with us much longer. She does have renal failure. And I understand that the doctor said she's improved, and that doesn't happen under normal circumstances. But I'm a good cook, and we eat mostly organic, and so it's had its benefits. When she does go, I will consider it a blessing for her, because her life has become so limited and uncomfortable, and it's okay with me that she moves on. I'm accepting of that, and I am ready for the next chapter of my life. I don't have any fears about rejoining society and having a social life, etc.
Is there, you mentioned before about the organic food. Has that made a difference in her life?
I think that it's fabulous that organic foods are more readily available and much cheaper than they were just a couple of years ago. It used to be I would go to the store and pick and choose what I could afford to buy that was organic. And some things it's more important than others, produce in particular. So now that you can go to a regular grocery store and buy almost everything organic, I think that it's had a good impact on my mom's life.
How?
And mine. Well, she's healthier physically, if not mentally. Physically, she's healthier. I know I am.
What does the doctor say about it?
Well, he doesn't understand how his prediction was she would be gone by November. Last November. And we went to the kidney doctor just recently, and he said that her blood work shows improvement, and that just doesn't happen. So here we are.
Loving caregiving can do that too.
I guess so.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything you'd like to say about caregiving? Anything else?
It's the hardest job I've ever done. Caregiving is all-consuming. It is, if you have a corporate job, and I ran a pretty large company, you go to work, and even if you're married to your job and you love it, you still go to work and come home and leave it behind. When you're a caregiver, it's 24/7, except when you have your little bits of respite care. And that's why it's so important that places like the Area Agency on Aging, that's a hard one to get out, and the Gulf Coast Jewish Family Services, those, and I'm sure there's other agencies, those are the two that we utilize. What they do is so important and vital to our existence. We have to have those hours that we can't afford to pay for, but we need those hours where the two of us can be together outside of the home at the same time. You know, our 4 to 6 hours here and there once a week. It's okay.
How does that happen? How does Gulf Coast Jewish Family and Community Services help you, and an Area Agency on Aging? How do they help you?
The agencies are fabulous about providing a caregiver for respite care and supplies, because we go through a lot of supplies and they're not cheap. And we are on a very, very tight budget. So I'm not sure what people do who don't have help. And when you hear horror stories about elderly people living with family members and they don't get good care, a lot of it probably has to do with the finances. And we've spoken with other caregivers who don't even know these agencies exist. And I think to myself, how did we find out about this? Because I really don't remember how it even happened, how we found out. But I don't know how anyone would do it without it.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you'd like to say?
Am I doing okay?
You're doing fine.
Okay.
I'd like Sue to come in if she would.
Okay.
Sue,
Can
will
we-
you come and sit? And maybe it would help if you hold hands. You know, if you have a
Sure.
little, you know, you can sit
Hold on.
together.
And we went out in the wind. There we go. Oh, wait.
Don't spit on it.
I almost did. You knew it was coming, didn't
Like
you?
my mom in the
Yeah.
restaurants are always wiping their mouth.
Hold on. I gotta mic you up.
Can we roll?
Okay. Hi, my name is Leah. I'm from Pinellas Community Foundation, and we are one of the funders of both Area Agency on Aging and Gulf Coast Jewish Family and Community Services. Hard to say. And we're very glad that you could be talking to us today. What we're talking about is caregiving and the challenges and opportunities, gifts that you get with caregiving. So I'm going to be quiet now. And if you could just give us your name.
Sue Graham.
Sue Graham. And what is the situation here for you that you're a caregiver?
I take care of my 91-year-old mother, and I help my wife with her mother. And she's 82. She had a stroke. She's in renal failure. My mom is getting older, and she's got chronic back pain. And I take her to her doctor's appointments and feed her and help her bathe and do everything I can for her to make her comfortable and happy.
One question that I asked before was, who taught you how to do this? How do you learn how to do this?
A trial and error. I did what I thought I should do and found out that some things that I was doing wasn't right. I was enabling her to do less than she could do herself. I was spoiling her because she's my mom. But it wasn't in her best interest. I've also learned that I'm not living in my world anymore, I'm living in hers. So I have to do what she believes is going on, or what her mind is thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And what does this do? Very wonderful relationships so that you have co-support. What does this do to relationships within your household and outside?
I have no relationships outside the house. I used to go play darts, but I don't do that anymore because I don't know, I felt guilty leaving Sandy to take care of everything, and so I don't do much out of the house. I don't like leaving my mom home by herself. I don't like leaving her home even with a caregiver, because nobody can take care of my mom the way I do, even though the caregiver that does come over is the sweetest, most kindest person in the world. I mean, she brings her gifts, she cooks food and brings food over that she thought that they might like. She chats with them, and you know.
Where is she from?
She's
Who sends the caregiver?
That would be the Agency for Aging.
Great. Do you think about a future after, for both of you?
Yes, I do. It's hard for me to make plans for the future because it makes me feel like I'm hoping that she passes fast so I can move on with my life, and I don't like that feeling. So I do dream of a future that I get my life back, but I don't want to make any plans.
You would think she was the Jewish one. She's so guilt-riddled. She can't possibly think about what to do when this is over. She can't do it.
Well, I know what I'd want to do. I mean, I want to go back to a retirement plan that I've had before all this.
Which
and
ones?
To live out in the country, get away from the city, and enjoy my life, relax, and be happy, and have fun, and have friends, and do things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go on little trips, and everything that I can't do now. But it sort of put my retirement on hold, so to speak. I left my job so I could come and take care of my mom. I took an early retirement from Social Security because I'm only 62, and took a big cut in my Social Security so I could be here to take care of my mom. So I basically I gave my life to her because she gave my life to me.
It does come with guilt, doesn't it?
Yeah, and fear. I know she's getting older. I know she's going to pass away. And I lost my dad, and I lost my stepfather. And when you lose someone that you love, it takes a lot from you, and it takes a while to get you back on your feet.
Do you, how is your mother? Is she clear in her head?
She's not as clear in her head as she was a year ago, or 6 months ago, or even a couple weeks ago.
So how do you deal with that?
Like I said,
I doesn't remember yesterday.
I live in her world, and what she perceives as the truth, what she perceives as what's going on, or how things are, that's how they are. Whether it's true or not, that's the way it is. Because I don't want to upset her and to try to say, no, Mom, that's not how it is. You just have to, like I said, you're living in their world. So you just go with it and calm her when she's nervous or upset.
How do you sleep?
How do I sleep?
How do you,
Not well.
how do you get to sleep when you sleep? It's hard
Oh,
because you get up in the middle.
we're on a schedule. So during the day, you get breakfast. She gets breakfast when she wakes up, because she's a night owl. She's always been a night owl. She always used to stay up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. She loves to read, do crossword puzzles, and things like that. And she's more of a night person. And so far, it hasn't affected my sleep too much. I do wake up occasionally out of the blue for no reason, and I'll check on her. I'll check to make sure that it's not too hot in her room or not too cold in her room, if she's sleeping or if she's awake. And then sometimes she sleeps until noon. And so we used to have a breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack before bedtime, and now it's whenever she needs it or wants it. So she's.
Do you both take care of both mothers, or do you?
No, we do what we both do what we can for each one of them.
Yeah,
If Sandy has to go to a doctor's appointment, I'll watch after her mom, do whatever she needs. We have a little doorbell system worked up for her mom, because she can't get up and walk on her own. She'll hit the doorbell button, it rings in here, we go in and see what she needs. That's how that works.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a baby monitor?
Yes,
Oh, we have that too.
we have a
That's what
baby
I-
monitored also. With my mom, I know she's awake because she's hard of hearing, and she won't wear her hearing aid. So when the bathroom is right next to our room. So when she goes to the bathroom, she turns on all the lights and bangs the door shut. And so Sandy came up with this bright idea: if she taped the door so it wouldn't click, then she would make less noise. She'd just push the door and it wouldn't make noise. Well, she locked the bathroom door.
She thinks she does.
She thinks she's locking the door,
Uh-oh.
and makes a lot of noise, and because she can't hear what she's doing, and it wakes me up. So it's sometimes I sleep through the night and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we hear her mom on the monitor going, "Time to get up,
At 4 o'clock.
come and get me. Let's go, I'm ready." And it's 4 o'clock in the morning, so Sandy, more or less, she gets up at night for her mom. She'll get up every 4 hours and change her, or if she hears her rustling or coughing or doing something on the monitor, she'll get up and go check on her.
She's got rails on her bed, so she can't fall out or anything.
End of life. It's hard to take care of that at the end. I mean, both of you are doing a lot of medical things as it is, I'm assuming. Are you planning on keeping both of your mothers here and as they are? You know, as capable as you are?
My mom and Sandy's mom, neither one of them are going anywhere. This is their home, and this is where they want to be, and this is where they'll stay, and I'll do whatever it is I can possibly do to keep it that way.
Have you had conversations with them about what they want? You know, you said this is what they want. Have you had conversations with them about being here and you're going to take care of them?
When my mom moved in, I told her this is your home and you can stay here as long as you want. And then I had my brother also was staying with us. And my mom and my brother, it was for 3 years. My brother recently had to go into ALF because he has dementia and COPD, and the doctor recommended that he has more medical attention. So we moved him to an ALF. My mom was a little shooken up about that because she thought maybe she would have to move too. And so I sat down and talked with her and said, no, Mom, this is your home, and this is where you live until you, it's up to you. If you want to live here, we'll live here. If you want to go live with your son, that's all up to you. And she says, I want to stay here. This is my home. I like it here. And I want to be with you. And I says, well, then don't worry about it. You're here, and this is where you'll stay.
That's great.
No, she has trouble even saying the word die.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to go. I don't go there.
I refer to it as end of
Or
life,
passing
so
or whatever.
Yes, I
She
understand.
can't say any of that.
Yeah, it's, so we'll go to a different subject. If somebody was a new caregiver, what would you tell them? What would you recommend?
Find a support group. Talk to people who have done it. Try to read books, learn whatever you can learn on how to do what you're doing. Because when I first began doing this, I just thought it was, Mom's going to live with me, I'm going to cook and clean and take care of her, yada, yada, yada. But there's so many other things that are involved. Her taking care of her mental state, and the fact that you have to realize that once you make that decision, unless you change your mind, but I'm not changing my mind, once you make that decision, that's something that you have to, that you're living with. There's no jumping up and say, well, let's go go see a movie, or let's go out dancing, or let's go visit a friend. All those things now are planned. I call my friends and says, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. I says, well, I've got Saturday from 12 to 6 in the afternoon. Let's do something then. Or I've got a Wednesday and I can do, you know, from 2 to 4. You know, it's very rigid and very planned.
Do you think that the world needs caregiver education classes?
Ooh.
Yes, I think that would help. It would help to have the classes. It would help to have a support group. I went to a support group for a while, but it was more for people with Alzheimer's,
Alzheimer's.
and not really related to the caregiver, but their loved ones' problems and how they work, how they handle it, and how they work through it. But nothing on how do you care for someone in your home that's elderly. So I just go back to the same thing. I'm living in their world, and what she wants and what she thinks and what she needs, she'll tell me, or I'll figure it out. But, you know, like I learned trial and error. I'm sure I made a lot of mistakes, but it's better, I think it's better for my mom to be here, even though I didn't know what I was doing at first, than to be in an ALF where she's just a number.
I understand. Laughing is a really important part of just getting through some of this. I mean, it is so challenging. Where do you find laughs in this?
Sandy.
Or not?
Sandy. We watch a lot of sitcoms.
We're both pretty
And we're kind of, yeah, we do some goofy things just to break up because I'm sad. I'm sad that my mom's getting older and she's not going to be with me much longer. But I still have to have some life. And what little life I have Sandy, and she helps me through it. I have an anxiety and panic disorder that I got 30 years ago. I take medication for it, and it kind of keeps it on a level base. But it's hard for me sometimes to think of the future of what's going to happen. And so I don't. I try not to, because it makes me sad. But we're goofy. We do some stupid stuff, and even when we don't do stupid stuff, sometimes we just look at each other and just laugh. If I wasn't laughing, I'd be crying.
So lucky to have each other and not be doing this alone.
Yes, if somebody's trying to do this by themselves, I don't know how they would do it. I don't know how one person, without the support of somebody that loves them and cares for them and helps them, it's a lot on your plate to do this by yourself. And I thought, I didn't have kids because I thought it would be too much for me to handle, because I was too much of a kid myself. So, and now I understand how it is to have a 5-year-old. Except for my 5-year-old is going on 4 instead of 6.
Well, she did take care of you. Maybe she taught you.
Yeah, she taught me well.
She taught you well, yes. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I just like to thank the agencies that are helping us, and with the support, with the like my mom needs Insure, which she couldn't afford because she's on a fixed income, and everything that they do to help us. Nicole does the best job of checking in to see how we're doing, to see if we need anything. Sometimes she knows what we need before I even know what we need. Even things that I didn't even think about asking because, I don't know. They gave me 4 hours or 6 hours of respite time, and they gave me some Insure, and they gave us some diapers and some what do you call those? Chucks that you put down on the bed. And I didn't want to ask for more because they were giving me more than I expected. And it's been such a good help financially because, like I said, we're on a fixed income, and I would not be able to afford to do the things that these agencies do for us. They're just a godsend. And the people that work for them are awesome. They have to love their job, and you can tell, you can see it in their attitude and how they go out of their way to help you. And I'm just grateful.
That's great. Thank you, and I'm sure that Jason and Nicole are just smiling behind you. Thank you both. That was just very, very touching.
I didn't like doing the split interview thing because there's so many things I wanted to that you talked to her about that I made me think of things, and I wanted to
I'm
interject,
sure.
and I.
Well, is there anything now, and then maybe you can just talk loud.
Get closer.
Squished together. Well, no, now it already flew out of my head. That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Well, if you want to say
How'd
something.
that picture get up there?
It has a picture of a child, which is you, and they can't record.
We moved to.
Yeah, we
They
would
moved it.
put people in it.
Okay. That's actually a picture from Life magazine. I'm the little girl there. That's my mom and dad.
In Alaska.
Huh.
My mom and dad led the 59ers when Alaska became a state. So
Oh.
Life magazine was with us all the way.
That's cool.
That's very cool. Well, as I said, thank you.
You're welcome.
So appreciate your honesty and I mean, it's just, you're both so lucky to have each other and be doing this.
We are.
I couldn't do it without her, and I couldn't do it
Well,
without.
I'm the cook. I don't know what you would do without me.
I do lunch and breakfast.
Sometimes.
If it doesn't have to be cooked, I can do it.
Oh,
Did you want?
is there
I
anything
think
we
we're
didn't
done.
cover that you wanted to?
I'm just getting some miscellaneous shots here.
I'll ask you, Jason, Jason or Nicole, did you think I should be asking anything else?
I think you covered a plethora of different
Yeah.
things. I learned a great deal. Actually, this conversation is just great for me. It's going to help me do my job better, learning a lot of the idiosyncrasies that go on.
And what's your position?
I'm a director of planning, so I plan
Oh.
out home and community-based services amongst the 2 counties that we work with.
Oh, okay.
And we have 10 other agencies like ourselves around the state.
Okay, so you,
Answer to him.
okay, and you've been in this a long time, the caregiving part and working with caregivers. All right. So since you're all here, you want to hang out and keep an eye on the folks,
let us go.
and we can take off for a while.
We can do something. You all want to just stay and make lunch for
When's the
the
next time you have an aide coming over?
Well, see, I had, through Gulf Coast, I had Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 hours each of those days.
Okay.
And those were mostly my horseback riding and shopping times.
Good.
But the girl that we had the whole time that we loved so much got promoted.
Oh,
And so now we have no one.
well, you don't have it.
So we have to
It's-
have a different agency.
It's really hard to find a match for the
For my
person, for her mom, because
It
if they're,
needs to be
if,
someone who looks like her granddaughter or her daughter.
Yeah.
It can't be anyone who's too tall, too like big and imposing. They have to be light-skinned. I mean, she freaks out about
She
being
does.
manhandled.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She's just so tiny and
because
frail.
her caregiver was, it was almost like it was her granddaughter
Granddaughter.
coming to visit and
Right.
chat with her grandma. Because she'd sit and she'd chat with her and she'd watch movies with her.
She'd sit on the couch with her and, you know, interact and,
Yeah.
and do things with her. And the average caregiver doesn't do that.
That's exactly right.
They sit across the room,
And stare at them.
stare
Right,
at
so
them.
they had almost a relationship.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's wonderful.
We think it's pretty important to have some consistency with
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and caregivers, I think, need to have more classes on
Yeah, they're not very,
how to be personable
yeah.
and how to talk with elderly in different conditions and
Many of them are not very well spoken.
There are
You
most
know?
agencies have a decorum or a sensitivity training that they offer.
Most of them
What's
don't-
in there?
Don't really
I'm not quite sure.
seem to know
Yeah.
how to interact.
well, we had one.
Coming up rolling.
Okay. Hi, my name is Leah Slavensky, and I'm here from Pinellas Community Foundation. We help fund the programs at the Area Agency on Aging. What is your name and what is your role here?
My name is Nicole Day, and I'm the caregiver specialist.
What does that mean?
I carry a caseload of caregivers and clients, and I go into the home, assess their needs, and then provide what services they need to stabilize them and keep them in their home and avoid burnout.
Keep them in their home. There's that aging in place. Is aging in place basically your objective?
I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking
It's
about at
okay.
this point in time.
Okay.
Like
What-
keeping them in their home?
Yes.
Okay, so my objective is to provide the caregivers with enough support and outlets so that they can keep the clients in their home, so that they do not look at other alternatives, so that the client can remain comfortable and be where they had planned to be.
How do the caregivers, do you train the caregivers?
No, I don't train them. I give them advice. I talk with them when I come out and see them over the phone each month. Some caregivers will delve into more personal areas. I listen. I'm not a professional therapist, but I do my best to listen, provide some feedback if I know what to say. But basically, I'm just kind of here to support them in their needs.
If there's a certification required for caregiving, what is it?
Like as far as like caregivers,
Caregivers that you place in people's homes.
oh, the aides, you mean?
Yes.
I don't.
That's not a question she can answer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know what they
That goes with the home health agency that's going to be staffing it.
I see. So who staffs the caregivers?
the aides, you mean?
The aides, yes.
I staff what I do is I talk to the caregivers, and I have a list of providers that we work with. If they have a preference, we go with their preference. If they don't have a preference, I will then choose somebody. I do go over things with them like, do you have a preference of the aide that's coming in the home? Do you want somebody that can say no? Do you need somebody that's going to be more passive? Do you want someone that, and then I look at their client's needs. Do they need someone that can transfer them appropriately? And so that's kind of what I look at when I'm talking to the providers. So if I have somebody that, like Sandy had said, that she's looking for somebody that is smaller, that can, but still can transfer. When I call the providers, that's what I go over with them.
Mm-hmm.
I try to match the aides appropriately.
Mm-hmm. How did you get trained for your role?
I worked at Gulf Coast a number of years, almost 10 years, and then I came over to the Area Agency on Aging.
Excuse me, lady, we're picking this up out here.
Okay.
She's interviewing someone.
Should I continue?
1 second.
What she paid for.
Maybe can you do the last question again before the,
Thank you.
What was that last question? About training? I
Yeah,
think it's
so.
okay. I don't think we need to
Okay.
redo it.
it's fine.
What do you like about your job?
Interacting with the clients and caregivers, going into their home, especially the new ones that don't realize that there's help out there, and coming in and talking to them and then realizing that there is help out there available for them, and just seeing the burden kind of lifted off of them saying, I didn't know I could get that many hours, or I can't even afford Depends. I'm so glad you're here. That's the best part of my job, knowing that I'm helping somebody and that they're getting benefits from what I can offer them.
So you provide supply, one of the things you do is provide supplies.
Yes, based upon need, I can provide supplies such as Depends, Chuck's Pads, Ensure, and then occasionally if there's a need for like a ramp or a lift chair, I go by their need, and then I can do that if it's possible. And counseling.
And you must love it.
I do. I do love it.
What are the gifts of it?
The gifts of my job is just, like I said, seeing the caregivers happy and knowing that they can get out, and that They're not looking to place their mom or their dad or their loved one tomorrow. That burden's kind of been lifted. Eventually, yes, they may place them, but I can see that there's they're relieved, they're happier, they can go do something that they want to do, they're not stuck at home. So maybe that placement's been delayed a month or a year or even until they pass, but it's been delayed something.
What do you think is the greatest service that you offer them?
The greatest service I would think would be the respite care.
Why?
All the caregivers want to just get out. They want to be a part of the world again, and they want to be a part of their communities. And when we offer the respite care and they find somebody that they trust, they can then go back out. It's kind of like finding a reliable babysitter and you're a new parent. You're just elated that you have found somebody that you can trust your child with. And it's the same thing when you're a caregiver to a loved one. You're just elated that you have found somebody that you can trust, so you can go back out and do the things that you loved, whether it's taking a walk or joining a group or going to play bingo, whatever it is. They just going back out in the community is satisfying.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was it. Mike, did you want to take any pictures? Or
Okay.
And then what you do in your position.
Okay.
Okay. So you can start.
You want me to do it? Okay, hi, I'm Jason Martino. I am the Director of Planning for the Area Agency on Aging of Pasco and Pinellas County. And in my function as an employee with the Area Agency on Aging, I do a couple different things. In particular, for today, I am a director of two wonderful caregiver specialists who serve individuals residing in Pinellas County. I don't want to go through the laundry list of things that I do. I want to kind of keep it to this one here. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about, will you tell us some of the things that the agency does?
Yeah, outside of I can do that too. Okay. My responsibility as a planner is to make sure that home and community-based services are provided between two different counties, Pasco County, Florida, and Pinellas County, Florida. And what home and community-based services are basically services that allow families and individuals to remain at home and in lieu of any type of premature institutionalization. We know as an agency, and it's a fact nationwide, that most people want to reside within their own homes until end of life. There is great reason to have assisted living facilities and also skilled nursing facilities out there. However, most people would like to receive services at home to keep them there as long as possible.
Is that true for people without caregiving, without someone in their home?
In Pinellas County, 33% of the residents that are 60 and older live alone. And that's a massive number. So a lot of times those folks are looking for different kind of constructs that are going to help them remain at home as long as possible. Most of the time their families live up north, or they might even have families that live around locally but aren't able to see them as much as possible because they have their own lives and kids and big families as well.
Do you find that there is a financial difference in people who come to you? Is it, do you have the wealthy as well as people living in poverty?
Yeah, we, as an agency, we serve everybody, no matter what their income is or their ethnic background or preferences or whatnot. Most of our programs, they want to concentrate on folks that are considered to be at risk. For example, we have Older Americans Act program, which allows us to serve caregivers in their home with the National Family Caregiver Support Program. There's a certain amount of targeting that we need to do as an agency to make sure that we attract those individuals that are most at risk. So the Older Americans Act, they really require us to serve folks that self-identify as a minority, self-identify as a low income or below poverty level, in some areas living rurally. So we're serving a group, and when we look at those individuals, and we have wait lists like every other area agency on aging around the state, that's how we prioritize our wait list, making sure that we serve those with the highest need in the community before we do. But As a helpline and as an aging and disability resource center, we serve a bounty of people that come from all different walks of life and all different income thresholds. So we don't discriminate against anybody. However, with some of our services, we do serve the most needy.
What is the helpline?
The helpline is we have 11 area agencies. We have 11 area agencies on aging around the state. Each of them operate their own independent helpline. And a helpline is really the gateway for somebody to call in and to inquire about different things that are going to help them and or help them take care of their parents as they live and breathe in the community. So the helpline is the gateway. We offer information and different resources if that family or if that individual is independent enough to follow up with them. And on a lot of different occasions, that is the gateway for our state and our federally funded services where they can be assessed and triaged and the eligibility taken a look at to see how they can apply for some of those. I didn't say that really well at all. That was a whole mouthful.
Okay.
Let me try to back away from
You're
that.
going to, do you want to re-say it?
Yeah, let me think it through it again. All right, so you said what's the helpline, right?
Yes.
In the state of Florida, there are 11 area agencies on aging, and each of them operate a helpline that corresponds with, independently to the area that they serve. In our area, we serve Pinellas and Pasco County. So our helpline, when a caller calls in and they're inquiring about different types of sources, resources, or services that might be available to them, those resources are generally specific to Pasco and Pinellas County. It is a gateway for an individual to understand what resources are out there, and it is also a gateway for that person to be assessed for eligibility into state and federally funded services that we administer through our agency.
What's the number?
What's the number of what?
The helpline?
Oh, 1-800-563, oh shoot, I can't even remember simple stuff. What is it, 963-5537?
I don't know, I just know the direct line, 217.
Where's your monitor where you got your...
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Teleprompter.
yeah, my teleprompter, right.
You can just say, call the number under your screen and put it in later like they always.
Can you look it up on your phone real quick? I can't believe I can't remember that. Statewide toll-free number, and I use it every day.
Yeah, can't we?
Yeah, but I should be able to say it too. I'm a little embarrassed by that.
It's, I've heard that you have a waiting list.
Yeah.
What do you think people should do if they think, should people foresee that they should be on the waiting list, put themselves on the waiting list? What would you recommend to somebody who has needs or anticipates they have needs?
Let me put it this way. What we know is that people don't start to research services and resources they need until they get into a crisis mode. What we try to do in education to the public is have them understand how to navigate aging types of home and community-based services well before they need that, so they understand what to expect at that time. One of the reasons when people are in crisis and they want to understand a little bit more about what we offer, and they go through an assessment process and or a triage process, many times they're going to be waiting on what's going to be available out there. Sometimes we've heard folks that are waiting for multiple years. Given that, there are other options that we can offer them. Our helpline, like we talked about a little bit earlier, not only offers free types of resources or an entryway into the state and the federally funded ones, but it also offers services for a fee. So there's a bounty of different things available in Pinellas County and in Pasco County that we can offer any consumer that's interested in it. But there are waiting services, waiting lists that go hand in hand with some of the state and the federal ones that we have.
What kind of funding do you get? Where do you get your funds?
We have two major funding streams that are available to us. On the federal level, we are funded by the Older Americans Act, an act that came out in 1965 that originally started our home delivered meal program, what you might hear in the community as Meals on Wheel. That piece of legislation, it's an important piece of legislation because first and foremost, it recognizes that there are certain needs that seniors have nationwide. That funding helps us provide independent types of services, and the ones that I think about that come to mind are the home delivered meal program that we talked about, a congregate meal program, adult day services, homemaker services, free legal services, homemaker services, and there's probably one or two more that are not coming to my brain. Eligibility to that funding stream is that they're 60 and older. It's free to them. They can contribute if they'd like to. And then there is prioritization based upon targeting. So if that person is low income, and or if they live rurally, or if they are a minority, those persons get technically served quicker than other people that don't meet that at-risk population. The second major funding stream that we have is through the state of Florida. We receive what we call general revenue funds, and that allows us to provide 3 different types of case management modality types of services. The major funding streams that come under that general revenue are going to be for a program called Community Care for the Elderly, one called the Home Care for the Elderly, and then the other one for the Alzheimer's Disease Initiative.
Where does Pinellas Community Foundation fit into this? You know, you have major, as you said, you have federal and state funding. So where does Pinellas Community Foundation fit?
Good question. One of the things that we know about ourselves as an agency is that we are a best kept secret sometimes. We may publicize our helpline number, we may offer presentations in the community, and we can't just seem to get the word out enough for people to understand where they should turn as a trusted source to come in and understand what resources are available to them. Because we know that, we work pretty closely with partners in the community, and the Pinellas Community Foundation is one of them. You possess tools, Pinellas County Community Foundation possesses tools that we do not possess that will help us get that visibility out there. We interviewed a couple a little bit earlier that is living the caregiver reality, and one of the things that I'm thinking about that they said is that when they first entered that reality, they didn't know how to approach it. So one of the major things that we want people to understand is that there is a reality far beyond living in your middle age years, and people should be prepared for that. And ways to be prepared for that is to understand what is out there that they can be offered at that time. We think with the tools in our partnership with Pinellas County our Community Foundation that you have a loss of words here, but a better mechanism of helping illustrating what the reality is for an aging population that is very isolated, an aging population that has new responsibilities in their life, typical to caregiving, an aging population that lives alone independently, that just needs a couple different items in their house to help them remain there. We're very proud of our partnership with Pinellas Community Foundation, and that's where I think your organization fits well with us, is you're doing a lot of things that we just cannot do given the tools that you possess and we do not.
What do you use the funding that we provide?
I don't want to answer that question because I don't necessarily know. I'm going to let Anne-Marie handle that one.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'd like to say there's a couple different ways I can think of, but I'm not sure what's going to happen with that, so I just don't want to even get to that.
I know we have some mutual board members.
Mm-hmm.
That's another way we partner.
Yeah.
What else would you like to tell us about the agency? And what else would you like people to know?
I'm going to beat this drum again, because we see it day in and day out, and I'm not necessarily sure that any amount of outreach is going to change the concept of how aging is viewed upon locally, throughout the state, or across the nation. Aging has a bad stigma. People move away from thinking about it, and like we were talking about a little bit earlier, that when one has to think about aging and home and community-based services, or whatever modality is going to serve them appropriately, they generally are waiting too long. And I really want to encourage people that aging can be a beautiful thing, and your perception on what comes with aging can be changed. Investigating the things that we can offer you as an area agency on aging would behoove most people to understand what's coming down the road. And I can go on philosophically about this forever, but I'm not going to.
So I have one last question. What would you like aging to look like?
Good question. Give me a second. From a community perspective, I would like to see aging look more fluid. I would like to see aging become less compartmentalized in the sense of what's appreciated and what's not. And there's a lot of different initiatives out there that are really trying to promote this and disrupt the normal aging atmosphere now. It's a good question. I didn't even prepare for that one.
Okay.
I have answers.
We can catch it.
You want the number?
Yes.
9635337.
All right, so I was right. I just didn't.
Okay, do you want to say what is the helpline number?
Yeah, 1-800-963-5537, right? 5537 or
5337.
5337, okay. The senior helpline number is 1-800-963-5337.
Great. Did you want to add anything?
No, but I like your last
Okay.
question, and I can probably go on for days. If you ask me this again during our second visit today,
Okay.
I will be populating some stuff in my brain over that time.
Okay.
It's a good philosophical
Thank
one.
you. Thank you. You're good. Thank you. You too. You are good. Thank you. Thank you. I thought you said I was old. Do you know how old you are? You are going to be 90. Yeah. Why are you crying?
No, I'm Bill. My name is
That's
Bill.
right, stay down, so I can hear them.
Do I look like Corey?
Okay, you can come and sit. I just wanted a minute.
Ted, this is our last guest.
Huh?
This is our last guest today. This is Anne Marie Winter. She's our boss over at the Area Agency on Aging.
Hi, Ted.
Hi,
It's
pleasure
so
to meet
nice to meet
What do you
you.
want?
Thank you.
I also.
I like you too.
I like you.
Thank you. Hello.
And, okay. Shirley, can you look at me? Yes, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're nice.
You're nice too, very nice. Ted, can you introduce yourself and introduce who Shirley is and tell us the situation here?
Good,
Good.
good.
Hi, my name is Ted Wade. This is my Aunt Shirley. She will be 90 years old in May the 26th. She moved in with me probably 25 years ago, and she got Alzheimer's about 8 years ago. And I've been taking care of her. I've been her caregiver since then, as her Alzheimer's disease has progressed. She has had some good times and bad times with it. She was at the Bird Alzheimer Institute. I did some research there. We participated in that, and I felt really bad about it because we had to take her over there daily for like 3 weeks. And they gave her like the first day a shot in one arm, the next day in the other arm, and the next day in the hip, left hip, and then the right hip. And every evening where they gave her the shot, it was big welts. And I didn't really like the results that we got from it. We never did hear from them as far as whether there was any positive results from whatever tests they were doing. They have been in contact a couple of times, but nothing progressive about it. Shirley has been on several different medications of Alzheimer, and for the most part, the medications hurt their ability to communicate, the ability to awareness of what's going on. For the most part, and within the first few days, I would take her off of that medication. Then she's on a Lindronate for about 4 years. And with the Lindronate, she lost all sense of communication. She did not know her name, did not know my name. And we ran out on a refill, and the doctor did not get it refilled in time. And so it was like a month before we heard from them. But so when we ran out of medication, within daily for the first 3 days, I could see her. She's like coming back to life. And she knows her name now. She knows my name, and talks a lot. We have then we were contacted with the AAPP, and because I was very stressed. I mean, I felt very bad when Shirley first moved in. My mother was went in hospital, and she was like in her 90s, and they called me, said she had just dehydrated. They called me the next day and said she's okay, and did not want to send her back to that assisted care facility, but wanted to send her to a nursing home. And I agreed, and so they called me the next day. They'd sent her to nursing home that afternoon. She came back to the hospital the next morning all beat up and died in the hospital. So when Shirley moved in, I promised her that I would never send her to a hospital. And as her situation with Alzheimer's progressed, it was very stressful to me. I closed my office, moved everything home, worked from home, and it was very difficult because there's times that you don't know what the problem is. One particular incident was she was walking, she'd really scream about the pain. Went downstairs, and I was going to take her to a store, and she went down screaming, and I couldn't get her back up. I sat back in the chair and got her, rolled her over on her knees, tried to pull her up, could not lift her. I called emergency rescue, and they told them what the situation was. And I told them they better bring a football team to lift her up, get her in. And so they brought about 6 husky guys in there and set her up in the chair and carried her upstairs. And that happened again out of bed 2 days later, and I took her to hospital. And the point being is she dropped a kidney stone, and a gallstone. And I did not know it. She couldn't communicate in that manner, and you're pretty much dependent on your own observations of what goes on. And so I took her to the hospital, and she had a gallbladder removal and so forth. But it's very stressful, and you have to learn a lot to have a high level awareness of what's going on. And I was contacted by the AAPP, and that is like angels, because they came in, they got me caregiver support for the things that were most difficult for me, and I sat down with their caregivers and like bathing her and doing her hair and so forth, and that I could not have done it without them. It's a type of support that fills in the gap where it's most important, because of what's happened to my mom. I gave my word that I would take care of her here. But I've always felt anyway that it is a family's responsibility to take care of their own at home, and you need additional help for that many times. And AAPP has provided that help for me. I thank God for that service, and it's a service that I didn't hear about until they called me. And it's a service that they recognize where the need is and provide that need. And they also, like, she has incontinence, and so they provide the pants pads, and and they provided this chair. It's been very difficult. Before this chair came in, she gets some bit of dementia, mostly in the evening, so when you're trying to get her up to go to bed, that's like pressing a button, okay, dementia, come on out. And it's hard. It hurts a lot too, because you know how good that person is and how sweet that person is, and this is not that person when the dementia comes out. And the chair from AAPP has prevented many episodes of dementia, because the chair lifts up, and she's learned to get up with that. We have to work the controls, but it's a service that they gave that gives me the ability to see her more often. We've also got another part of service from AAPP. Instead of sending a caregiver in here, they let me go hire someone. And I found someone that has bonded very well with Shirley, and she's here as much as I need her, and I pay her. And that is like the ultimate blessing that you can give someone in this circumstance. It's I recognize it's costly, and but I think if anyone ever deserves it, Shirley Starr does, because she is a very sweet person, even though she thinks I'm boring her and goes to sleep. But she is wonderful.
Shirley has a friend here with her. That
Oh.
you
Sparky. I got to tell you about Sparky. Sparky is the newest member of the family. Before she got Sparky, she was getting very lethargic. Difficult to get her out of bed, just lifeless. The light in her heart was out, the bulb had burned out, and she just like had no joy in life. And so she had told me she wanted a deer chihuahua years before, and so I looked around and I located a deer chihuahua, and I think it was Oklahoma. They sent me an email picture of Sparky, and I knew instantly that's the one. And so they flew Sparky to Tampa to All About Puppies, then brought him over to St. Petersburg. A friend of mine and I went and picked Sparky up, and they kept Sparky for like 3 weeks before Christmas. And she came over with her children and Sparky on Christmas Day. There's like a dozen people here. Sparky walks around in between everyone and hops right up in Shirley's lap. And he wouldn't get down, stayed there. Shirley was so happy, her face lit up, and she smiled and her eyes were twinkling. And I was sat back behind her, and she looked back at me and she said, "Ted, this is the kind of dog I always wanted." And I said, "I know, it's yours." And she just broke down crying, of tears of joy. She cried for a week solid of happiness and would not let that dog out of her sight. Well, that dog wouldn't let her out of his sight. And Sparky and her bonded very well. She has that life and the happiness and joy, and she smiles a lot. And whenever Shirley gets up and goes to the restroom or goes to bed, Sparky's right with her. She walks back and forth one end of the room to the other. Sparky's going to go with her, not going to let her out of his sight. She'll go to the restroom, he's there. And when she goes to bed at night, he comes right up there, and we put him to bed, and he sleeps with her. If she stays in bed in the morning, I leave her in bed, But it's like maybe sleeping too late for Sparky. I'll get Sparky out a couple of times and put him on the floor, and I come in there, come on, Sparky, you want to go out? Sparky will not leave the room because she's still there in bed. Sparky will stay right there in that room, and so I just have to go back and put him back in bed with her. That's how bonded they are. It's really amazing to me. She had a dog before him called Ozzy. They were bonded, but nothing similar to this. This is just like they're one person, one spirit, you know.
So you are aging as well. I mean, we're all aging, but how is that for you?
There's a lot of thoughts about it. I will be 78. I don't have the freedom to get out and do things, but yet I'm happy here, you know, taking care of her. But I feel a loss being able to do that. I've got Nita. Had her here, I think, about 2 months, and it's a matter now of seeing if I can establish the level of care that I would feel comfortable with in my absence, that I could go on trips. It's something that is not there yet. It's just something that I have to work on. There's and the caregivers we had before, they weren't that much time with her to be able to establish that type of feelings. I did have an individual, it's a caregiver that I had known. She was a friend of mine. And so I took a trip, and she was here, and she's very good, but she doesn't have the time, you know. But you know, I think I was tattooed in my family a caregiver, because I'm like the middle child of 7. There's only one brother and one sister left now. 2 of the brothers I have taken care of here and cared for them. And this was after Shirley's moved in, so she was there also. And I don't know, I guess it's something like that. I felt like it's my responsibility. As I stated earlier, I think taking care of your family is your family's responsibility. It's expensive if you go and put them in the nursing home, and if the government has to provide that support. It's not a matter of money that I do it, though. It's a matter of love and responsibility. And I think those feelings outweigh any feelings of loss of movement or traveling, something like that. I don't feel abused or used because of that responsibility. I feel lucky. I feel that it's something that comes from here that I should do.
So you've been doing caregiving for a long time. If you were going to educate new caregivers or lead a support group, what do you think they should know to start off with?
I think what they should know to start off with is they've got to have sincere interest and love in helping someone. Someone that doesn't have that desire in their own heart is not as good as that level of care as someone that does love to take care of people and is sincerely interested in that. The other thing is the fact that it's got to be a person that, to be a good caregiver, they've got to be observant and recognize the needs of the patient, because the patient can't always communicate what those needs are to you.
So you, you talked about Shirley's medication before. You seem to know a lot about the intricacies of her medication.
It grows on you. To know about the medication will grow on you, because if you had that sincere interest, you're also looking about the medications, if it changed, what is the impact on that patient? And you start, then that grows on you. You start to do research on each medication, what the side effects are. There's been 2 or 3 medications that Shirley's been taking for years and years and years. And I did some research on it, and I thought it wasn't good for her to be taking those medications. And I called the doctor, told him that I was stopping that medication because of this and that, and the doctor agreed. And so I've improved the level of medication or the impact of medication, I think, in cases. Yes, and plus any new medication, I go and research that, The alendronate was the most significant thing, where she got all her communication back. And I did some research on that. I'm sorry. After the fact. And it turns out that when you research that, you find out that alendronate should not be given to an Alzheimer's patient. Alendronate, in fact, causes the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, and that was why I had such a significant return to normality, so to speak, when I stopped would refuse to give her more alendronate. Mm-hmm. So if you are driving a vehicle every day and you hear a different tick or it wiggles and wobbles, driving that vehicle, you get a feel for it, of what the performance of that vehicle is. It's the same thing then with the patient. If you're giving them medication, you're in the driver's seat when you give them that medication. You watch the impact, you feel it, and you know it. And if you closely watch those types of things, you will know when a medication impacts her. And Shirley's medication now, we have to crush it, every bit of it. You can't crush a fish oil capsule.
Yes.
And as many times I say, swallow it, swallow it, swallow it, get it down, she'll chew it. And I could never understand how anybody could chew a capsule of fish oil. But she's got a knack for it, but then she'll give me that little gooey thing of the shell back, But, and she has a good appetite, which is another thing. When, as a caregiver, you watch the appetite, you watch their weight, you watch how she eats. There's times that she cannot feed herself. I'd say it's the past 6 months, and you help her though, and she'll start doing it. But she has an appetite, and if you keep her appetite up, her health is going to stay up. I've learned to cook pasta bake. I've learned to cook lasagna. She loves it. So it's there's a lot of different things like that that if you try to improve the care, to improve the care, that you improve a talent yourself, So other things about advice to a caregiver is, being able to be observant and watch out for things like that. And you need to have a ability to hear them at night. That's okay. Be quiet now. It's okay. I hit the wrong button somewhere. And so she, if she wakes up during the night, she'll wake up calling me or scream. It depends what the reason is she woke up. And you have to be there and go see and resolve it. There's been times that I could not figure out what was wrong. And of course, she couldn't tell me. And I sat in there and read to her for half the night, and I've been there many times till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And so it's just a variety about everything in life. A caregiver takes care of those functions. A caregiver is not just go sweep the floor, give her a bath, and brush her hair, and give her something to eat. It's if you're interested in that person keeping their level of health high, and interested in their happiness, and taking care of them when they're in pain, taking care of them if their mood is down. That's what caregiving is all about. It's like being a mother to a baby, you know.
So, I certainly understand that, thank you. When you talk about caregiving, this is actually a very intimate relationship, especially, you know, a man and a woman. And considering, you know, this isn't your wife, it's not your child. How does that challenge you, and how do you get beyond that? I've heard people say, I don't want to do those intimate things like change her, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, caregiving is, I think, a very intimate thing that you have to take care of a lot of functions. Before PP gave me support, I had to bathe her. And that was probably the most difficult thing. And you look at it as what's difficult. You know, particularly if it's a man and a woman, and you know, I tried several different ways and so forth. The bathtub, and okay, be still now, be still. I think it's more difficult to be a caregiver when it's a male and a female. I think there's a natural bond if it's the same sex, gender of situation between the caregiver and the patient. Wiping her, if she has incontinence and bowel movements, and cleaning up the messes, that's part of caregiving. That's part of it you hate and you don't like it, and there's many times different types of accidents happen in that process, but it's something though that all the time when you're doing that, you have compassion for her, that it's something that she cannot control. It is something that you have to help her do, and that because I knew her before and how great and sweet it was, there's a lot more compassion and pain for her that she is in that situation. It is something that that's probably the worst scenario. Those and the bathing, the caregiver difficulties.
So what are the gifts to you as a caregiver? What are the gifts?
The what?
Gifts.
Gifts? Like a Christmas gift?
Yes.
The gift for me as a caregiver, more than anything else, is having the privilege of assisting someone, particularly in a situation where you knew them before, and that they're special people, and that that is that is a part of that's just to me the most wonderful gift is knowing that you could provide that help. It gives you a lot of understanding too, like a medic in the military on the battlefield. It's something, the love and the compassion you have for the patient. You've got to have that, and I think it's a gift for me because it's a privilege to take care of the person and change anguish in their face to joy. Change their pain or sadness to happiness, and that happens frequently. That happens a lot. It's not just like a one-time thing, it's sporadic. It happens daily. And it's particularly if they have dementia. I have learned, for example, to prevent dementia, I feel that you can prevent dementia by giving them happiness and love when you're approaching a point that is where dementia most probably will occur. At night, going to bed is probably the most sensitive time. And I've learned that if you're especially careful of giving her joy, and I don't mean tickling her or something, but just giving her love and understanding and contentment and getting her mood right, and continue that through the process of getting her to the restroom and getting her to the bed.
Thank you, thank you. I think, if there's any, I think we got a lot of great information from you and understand what you're going through. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I can say sincerely that if I had not had the support of AAPP, I would be a wreck today. She would be a worse wreck if either or both of us were still alive. It's just like an answer to my prayers, and I have immense gratitude to what the support is that I get from them.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. So I think,
Thank you, Ted.
yeah,
Thanks for
Thank you.
saying
You're
this.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
the only other person is that we're going to do Anne Marie. And if you want to do it right there, if you can.
What do you think? Is that light from the door going to bother you?
No, let me just kind of maybe real shots here.
Want me to switch places?
Hold on one sec.
Yeah, they can switch places.
Are you awake? Are you asleep?
You made a friend.
Hey, sugar.
Yes.
Particularly that even the announcers were screaming. A perfect catch in the end zone. I think it's Marvin Harrison, and they called it the incomplete pass. And I know that would be talked about forever.
Does Shirley watch football?
Huh?
Does Shirley watch football?
In those days before she got Alzheimer's, she'd watch football.
What is this?
I'm not sure where or how. She was a school teacher, but
Do you know Mr. Shirley?
I've never seen her diploma or anything. I never could find them, but she seemed to be a Bulls fan, and but she'd watch the football and she'd, would say, oh, that's good or that's bad. I mean, she had the interest, and I never was sure, but just out of courtesy,
Right.
was that desired,
Yeah.
But she, I guess it's the Seminoles. That was her favorite team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she lived in Tallahassee for a little while.
Yes, she was in Tallahassee, yes. And then before that, I think she was in Portland, Oregon.
Good luck.
Getting a little feisty.
And then I believe that Dubuque,
See if he does the same thing to you.
and she did a lot of traveling. She went to Europe several times, and Berlin, and went to Africa several times, and you can see the stuff she brought back
Yeah.
from Africa. That center thing above the fireplace, she brought back one year, and what am I going to do with that? And I put it under my bed or behind the desk
It's beautiful.
for years. And I just built that fireplace last fall, I believe.
That looks like a rosewood carving.
And that piece there fit.
Free. I don't know if you heard me say this, that if you can tell me your name and your position and what you do at, well, you know, instead of what you do, if you could talk about, you know, briefly what the agency, Area Agency on Aging does.
Sure. My name is Anne Marie Winter, and I'm with the Area Agency on Aging of Pasco and Pinellas. I have the honor of being the agency's executive director and work with an incredible team of partners and agency staff to help 68,000 seniors in Pinellas and Pasco counties every year. We are the gateway for home and community-based services. We want to keep seniors in their home, living in the community, and delay institutionalization.
Why would that be?
I don't think we've ever met a senior who wants to go to a nursing home. Seniors want to stay in their home. They want to be with their loved ones. They want to be with their pets and their family. They want to sleep in their same bed every night. And we have the opportunity to provide them with the services to do that. We provide thousands of congregate meals and home-delivered meals every single day in Pinellas County. We are helping to transport seniors and persons with disabilities to doctor's appointments, to activities. Seniors are abused and neglected, and we work closely with the Department of Children and Families to ensure that they're getting the services that they need. We help seniors that are abused by family members, by financial institutions. We help them through the legal process with victim advocates. We have a whole array of services that help seniors stay in their homes.
Great, thank you. I see you are with someone. Do you want to tell us who this is?
Sure. I'm here today with Shirley and her nephew, Ted. Ted is Shirley's caregiver. Shirley and Ted are seniors that we help. Shirley has Alzheimer's, and Ted is caring for her.
Great, thank you. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship of Pinellas Community Foundation and the Area Agency on Aging?
The relationship between the Area Agency on Aging of Pasco and Pinellas and the Pinellas Community Foundation has blossomed into a relationship where both of our agencies are focusing on aging. Pinellas Community Foundation is focusing on aging this year as part of their themes, and we have the privilege of working with them to raise awareness of the vitality and vulnerability of seniors in the community by partnering together on different programs.
Thank you.
Okay. Can they have all your...
Okay.
I do that with our
The relationship between the Area Agency on Aging and the Pinellas Community Foundation has been wonderful. Should I do that again? I'm going to do that again. The Area Agency on Aging and the Pinellas Community Foundation have a wonderful collaborative relationship. One of the issues that our organization sees is how do we address the unmet needs of seniors in our community. There is funding for meals and transportation, caregiver support, but things like incontinence supplies, which are incredibly important to seniors, is something that we haven't been able to find the funding for. Through a grant that we wrote to the Pinellas Community Foundation, we have received $10,000 to start the first adult diaper bank in Central West Florida. This is really exciting because we get hundreds of calls a year for people looking for incontinence supplies that we haven't been able to provide them. And through this funding, we've set up an adult diaper bank. With this funding, when we announced it, we started getting donations from the community of people donating supplies to us. So this program is already going to sustain itself. What we're doing is working with senior centers in Pinellas County and health centers to store and distribute the diapers. So folks will call our elder helpline. We get about 22,000 calls a year. And for those that need incontinence supplies, we're going to be able to refer them to the senior centers where they can go and pick up their supplies. Not only are they going to be able to pick up the supplies, but there they'll be able to find about the different services that those senior centers offer. So we think it's a win-win for everyone.
Great. What do you see as future needs?
One of the pressing issues with seniors is social isolation. Seniors that are homebound may not see any person other than the volunteer that's bringing them the one hot meal a day. So out of a 24-hour day, they may see somebody for 20 to 30 minutes. Caregivers who are taking care of their loved ones 24 hours a day have incredible social isolation. Social isolation leads to a decrease in health, limited access to services, and we would like to try and alleviate social isolation by starting some new programs.
What kind of programs?
Programs that bring caregivers together with enhanced caregiver support groups, programs to bring more seniors into adult daycare, more seniors into senior centers, and provide them with activities that will help not only their health but their mind.
See, I imagine that a senior center, if you ask someone to come into a senior center, they might say, oh, I'm not like that. I don't need that yet. Is that true?
There are 900,000 people living in Pinellas County. 300,000 of them are seniors. Not everyone is going to need services, but when you do need services, we're here for you. And so it's really important for people to know about what we do, not when they need it, but when they don't, so that when they do need it, they can contact us and we'll be there to help them.
How can you help somebody who, they might call the helpline, says, my mother is at the end of life and I don't know what to do because I can't take care of her anymore. How do you help?
The entry point to all of our programs is a statewide helpline, and that's 196-ELDER or 1963-5337.
I forgot the number she asked.
The gateway for all of our services is through our statewide helpline, and that's 196-ELDER or 1963-5337. And you can call us and talk to us about any of the issues that you have for yourself or your mother who might be at the end of life. We provide both for-profit and not-for-profit services to family members and the seniors. So if we can't provide the service, we'll be able to link you with the organization that can.
Great. And are you, Jason asked that question already. Can you talk for a second about the issue of affordable housing? What, is that an issue?
Mm-hmm.
Is housing an issue?
Affordable housing is probably one of the most pressing issues for seniors in Pinellas County. We only have a certain amount of land, and we've pretty much built it. Housing that is going up now isn't really affordable for seniors on a fixed income. They have given their entire lives, and now they can't afford to live here. Seniors come down here hoping that they're going to be able to live on their fixed incomes, and housing is a really big issue. Many seniors are living in mobile homes. Those are at risk during any hurricane of complete destruction. The ability to find and live in affordable housing is a critical issue in Pinellas County.
Anything how can people help
With affordable housing?
with affordable housing? How can donors help? How can people help?
One of the unmet needs with seniors in Pinellas County is affordable housing. And we have established an emergency crisis intervention program where we are accepting donations and writing grants for people to provide funding, which could include funding for housing for seniors. We also have been talking to organizations that provide HUD housing, like Catholic Charities in Pinellas County, to see how we can brainstorm around this issue. That's a huge issue, Leah.
It's a huge issue. So I just wanted a little bit of, some time.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Elderly nutrition's a big issue too.
Okay, so seniors receive, many are able to receive Meals on Wheels. Is that enough? Is there enough food, and is it nutritious enough?
Through our program, 726 seniors received daily meals every single day. An additional 839 people are on the waiting list. This is an increase of 200 people from 2015. The ability for seniors to get out and buy food, make food, eat food, severely diminishes as they age if they have health issues which preclude them from getting out of the house. A homebound senior is only seeing that person that's providing them a meal, and it's only one meal a day. Some seniors who have pets we know that they're giving their meals to their pets. Providing nutritious fruits, vegetables, proteins continues to be an issue for us in the county because the number of people that need food exceeds the amount of money that we have to provide it.
Any suggested solutions? Our area, for example, religious organizations, or how do they help?
Because food is such an issue for seniors in our county, food banks are providing some much needed relief for seniors. Working more closely with them, we might be able to address this issue so that they can have food provided to them on a more consistent basis.
Is it?
I think she's sleeping now.
More of an issue of being able to get out? Is food more of an issue of being able to get out to get it, or being able to afford it? Which?
The availability of food is certainly an issue, especially if a senior is homebound. But many seniors are living in areas that are food deserts, and so there isn't adequate access to local supermarkets. The price of food is also an issue for seniors and precludes them from being able to buy as much as they need.
A first of my first of them. They're my first. Okay. 2.
You okay?
3.
Is she okay?
The 4.
Okay. While our mission is to help the most vulnerable seniors in the community, they are incredibly vital. They have lived and continue to live incredible lives. Shirley here was a teacher, and she had the opportunity to travel all over the world and was an incredible contributor to so many children's lives. There are seniors who are in their 80s and 90s still living a life that is filled with vitality. Master swimmers, seniors who run marathons, musicians, artists, they are what make up our community.
And start with it. Start with it. Can you talk about volunteering?
The Area Agency on Aging really couldn't do what we do without volunteers. We have about 60 volunteers.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully it's not the sound of my voice.
You know it.
Know what? She go back to sleep.
I just want to be respectful of
Yes.
how she's feeling.
And
That's,
you'll let us know if she comes in.
Yeah.
if she needs to go back to bed.
Not bad, she probably just needs to get caregiver, get her up and get her a treat or something like that. You want a treat?
The Area Agency on Aging couldn't do what we do without volunteers. We have an incredible volunteer force. We have a program called Shine, which provides unbiased information about Medicare and health plans for seniors. And we have a dedicated group of volunteers who work tirelessly. What does SHINE stand for, Jason? Make us sound like we've spoken complete sentences.
You did fine. Thank you for doing it.
Here's the first one.
I'll see you later, Shirley. Okay? I'll see you later.
What's the matter, Sparky? All your
Okay.
here.
Yeah, I know what you're
Love
doing,
you.
so forget it.
Your information, okay?
Okay? I'll see you later.
And this
I'll be back.
is an
I will. You know I'll be back. I see you all the time.
Okay?
Nicole, thank you so much.
Bye, Shirley.
You can print your name here,
Bye-bye.
I love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
and then you can probably write Shirley Starr's name in here as well, because it's going to apply to her.
And great artwork too.
And then you would sign in this,
Yeah.
in this consumer signature, yes, right here.
Thank you.
And you can also, you can sign right there too, because you're
I'm
here.
here waiting for her. Check her name or mine.
You can write yours.
That's gonna be next month.
And you can write it for. if you want.
Okay. Go,
You guys
Ted.
coordinated
I didn't
everything.
know that.
Besides that, it's one of our colors.
That's why I did the form. All right, I need to get you guys, 4 guys out on the balcony real quick and get you pictures.
Okay.
Or meaning Nicole.
No, you
Nice slide right there. Yes.
Shirley also?
Bye, Shirley.
No, Shirley, you can bring Sparky if you want.
Thank you.
Okay,
Oh,
Sparky.
yeah.
I think he should be in
Sparky?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sparky, you gotta sign the forms though.
Yeah.
Thank you for
All
doing
right.
that. It protects all of us.
Yes, it does.
So he immediately went over there when I went towards them. Shirley? Excuse me, Sparky.
Sparky, Sparky. Sparky.
Am I allowed to use sunglasses?
Ted, I want to see your eyes.
If you need,
If it's bothering you, that's okay. We're only going right here, we're not going to out the conversation. Okay, so Ted, you will be right here. Right here. Leaning right up against your arm, if you don't. Yeah, raise your hand. Real. Jason, you're going to be in that. Moving over to the top.
Okay.
look, I can't do it.
Okay, well, Ted will help you.
Oh, you're teasing me. Here.
You'll be the treat giver.
This is a big treat. I think we don't give you it this big. At least I don't. I'm not that generous. So can you sit? Sit. No, sit. You have to sit. 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 What about that back part? Use it. Sit. No, you don't get it until you sit. Sit. You need to sit. Get the spill. Sit. The spill down there. The spill
You
down
can dance.
Oh, okay. You need to sit. 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 Oh, well, I think you're trying.
Good boy.
That's good.